You've built a life that doesn't hurt. Safe job, predictable routine, relationships that require nothing from you, days that pass without challenge or surprise. You call it peace. You call it finally having your life together. But comfort isn't peace. It's anesthesia. And you've been asleep longer than you realize. Most people spend their entire lives pursuing comfort. They believe it's the reward for surviving the chaos. They're wrong. Comfort isn't the destination. It's the place where growth goes to die. You've confused the absence of pain with the presence of aliveness. They're not the same thing. One is numbness. The other is engagement with reality. Right now, you're probably in the most comfortable position you've ever been in. And if you're honest, you're also the most disconnected from yourself you've ever been. This isn't coincidence. It's cause and effect. Comfort doesn't preserve who you are. It slowly erases you. Every day you spend avoiding discomfort, you're teaching yourself that your capacity matters less than your ease, that your potential is negotiable, that staying small is safer than becoming more. And your brain loves this lesson because comfort is efficient. It requires no adaptation, no learning, no risk, no energy expenditure beyond maintenance. You become predictable, manageable, safe. But safety, when nothing threatens you, is just another word for stagnation. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're actually preventing yourself from challenge, from change, from the friction that creates every meaningful transformation. The version of you that exists in comfort is not your full self. It's the compressed, minimized, risk-averse version that learned to fit inside the boundaries of what feels safe. And the longer you stay there, the more you forget there were ever other versions possible. This is the trap nobody warns you about. The danger that looks like success. You've achieved comfort. You've eliminated chaos. You've built a life that requires nothing from you. And in doing so, you've eliminated the very conditions that make you grow. Most people never see this. They mistake comfort for arrival, for having made it. They spend decades in the same job, the same relationship patterns, the same thoughts. And they call it stability when it's actually paralysis. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between comfort and death. Both involve the absence of threat. Both require minimal energy. Both feel safe. But one is rest, the other is erasure. And you've been confusing them for years. The most dangerous place you can stay is the place that asks nothing of you. Because a life that demands nothing produces nothing, teaches nothing, reveals nothing. You become a maintenance worker for an existence that stopped evolving years ago. This is where most psychology content will tell you to step outside your comfort zone, to challenge yourself, to grow, to become uncomfortable on purpose. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to show you what comfort actually costs. This channel exists for people who want the truth about the hidden mechanisms that shape their lives. Not the comfortable truth, the real one. If you're ready to see what you've been sacrificing for safety, click subscribe now. This is for those who'd rather know than be comfortable. Your ancestors lived in an environment of constant threat. Predators, starvation, injury, hostile tribes. Every moment required vigilance and energy expenditure to survive. So the brain evolved a simple directive: minimize energy use whenever possible. When conditions allowed safety, the body entered conservation mode. Rest, recovery, preservation of resources. This wasn't optional. It was biological necessity. Energy was finite. Threat was constant. Comfort, when it appeared, meant stop moving, stop exploring, stop expanding. Your nervous system still operates on this ancient protocol. When you find comfort, your brain interprets it as threat has ended, conservation mode activated. It begins shutting down unnecessary systems. Exploration, curiosity, the drive to seek novelty or challenge. These functions consume energy, and energy, to your ancient wiring, must be conserved. This is why comfortable people stop learning, stop creating, stop reaching for anything beyond their current state. Not because they're lazy, because their biology is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is context. Your ancestors needed those brief windows of comfort to heal and survive, but their comfort lasted days, maybe weeks. Before the next threat, the next migration, the next challenge, your comfort has lasted years, maybe decades, and your nervous system doesn't know the difference between temporary rest and permanent shutdown. It just knows, no threat detected, enter conservation, minimize energy expenditure, so you stop growing. Not consciously, neurologically, your brain literally downgrades the systems responsible for adaptation because they're metabolically expensive. Neuroplasticity decreases. Pattern recognition becomes rigid. Mental flexibility atrophies. You become efficient at repeating what's already established, terrible at learning anything new. This is why people in their 40s often feel mentally slower than they did at 25, not because of age, because of decades spent in comfort. The brain, deprived of challenge, begins pruning unused pathways, consolidating around established patterns. You become crystallized, fixed, predictable, and your system experiences this as success, as efficiency, as having finally figured out how to exist. But what feels like mastery is actually atrophy. The mechanism that kept your ancestors alive during brief periods of safety is now keeping you small during permanent ease. Your biology can't distinguish between rest and rot. Both involve the cessation of challenge. Both conserve energy. Both feel safe. So it defaults to the protocol. When comfort is present, shut down growth systems. This is why comfort feels so good at first. Your nervous system is rewarding you for finding safety, but the reward doesn't stop. The safety doesn't end. The shutdown continues. And what started as rest becomes your permanent state. You're not choosing comfort over growth. Your biology is choosing energy conservation over adaptation. And it will make that choice every single time, unless something forces it to recalibrate. Pain, challenge, threat, discomfort. These are the only signals your system recognizes as growth mode required. Without them, you default to maintenance, to preservation, to the slow, invisible shutdown of everything that made you adaptable. This isn't a character flaw. It's evolutionary efficiency operating in the wrong environment. Your ancestors needed comfort to survive brief windows of safety. You're using comfort to avoid ever being unsafe again. And your nervous system can't tell you're killing yourself slowly, because to a brain designed for scarcity, permanent comfort looks like permanent success. The damage is invisible until it's irreversible. You wake up one day and realize you can't remember the last time you felt excited about anything, not depressed, not in crisis, just fundamentally uninterested in your own life. This isn't burnout. It's not exhaustion from doing too much. It's the natural consequence of doing nothing that matters for too long. Comfort doesn't just stop growth. It erases the capacity for growth. Every month you spend avoiding challenge, your tolerance for discomfort decreases. What used to feel manageable now feels overwhelming. What used to seem possible now seems impossible. You're not getting weaker, you're getting narrower. Your window of tolerance shrinks. Your comfort zone becomes a comfort cell. And eventually anything outside that cell feels like a threat to your survival. This is how people become trapped in lives they don't recognize. Not through one catastrophic choice, through 1,000 small decisions to stay comfortable. Each decision felt reasonable at the time, logical, safe, but they compound, they accumulate. They build walls you can no longer see over. You stop taking professional risks because the current job is comfortable enough. You stop pursuing meaningful relationships because casual ones require less vulnerability. You stop creating anything because consumption is easier and criticism hurts. And slowly, imperceptibly, you become a spectator in your own existence. The identity you once had begins to fade. Not dramatically, quietly. You stop describing yourself by what you do and start describing yourself by what you avoid. I'm not the type who takes risks. I'm not the kind of person who does that. I'm too old to start over. These aren't truths about who you are. They're descriptions of how small you've become. But you can't see it from inside the comfort. It feels like wisdom, like knowing yourself, like finally being realistic about your limitations, when really you're just documenting the progressive shutdown of your own potential. Here is the question that should disturb you. What could you do 5 years ago that you can't do now? Not physically, psychologically. What risks could you take? What discomfort could you tolerate? What uncertainty could you navigate? If the list is long, if you've lost capacities you once had, comment the word narrowed below. Because that loss isn't natural aging, it's comfort atrophy. And most people never realize it's happening until they need those capacities again. Until life demands something from them that comfort hasn't prepared them for. A crisis, a loss, a sudden necessity to adapt. And they discover they can't. Not because they're incapable, because they're unpracticed. They've spent so long avoiding discomfort that they've lost the ability to function inside it. So they collapse, or they cling harder to what's familiar. Or they break, not because the challenge was too great, because they made themselves too small. This is the real cost of comfort, not what it prevents you from doing, what it prevents you from being capable of. You become someone who can only exist under specific, controlled conditions, like a plant that's been kept indoors so long it can't survive outside anymore. The roots are shallow, the structure is weak, the resilience is gone, and you don't notice until something tries to move you. Then you realize comfort didn't protect you. It made you fragile. You traded adaptability for ease, capacity for consistency, resilience for routine. And now you're trapped inside a life you built specifically to trap you. The walls are comfort. The bars are safety. The lock is your own fear of discomfort. And you've been inside so long you've forgotten what it feels like to be free. You're reading this from inside the comfort right now. The same place you've been for months, maybe years, maybe longer than you want to admit. And some part of you has known the entire time, known that you're not resting. that you're not recovering, that you're not waiting for the right moment. You're hiding, not from danger, from growth, from the version of yourself that requires more than what you're currently giving. This isn't revelation, it's confirmation. The discomfort you've been feeling, the vague dissatisfaction, the quiet sense that something is wrong, that wasn't confusion. That was clarity trying to surface through layers of comfort. Your system has been sending you signals: restlessness, boredom, the feeling that time is passing without you. But you've learned to interpret those signals as problems to solve with more comfort, more distraction, more routine, more of what's already not working. And now you're here, seeing the mechanism, understanding what comfort has been doing to you. The question isn't whether you'll leave it. Most people won't. They'll watch this, recognize themselves completely, and then return to exactly what they were doing before. Because recognition without action is just awareness of your own entrapment. And awareness, uncomfortable as it is, doesn't automatically override the biology. Your nervous system will still choose comfort tomorrow, will still interpret challenge as threat, will still flood you with resistance the moment you consider doing anything differently. But something has changed in the seeing. You can't pretend anymore that comfort is neutral, that it's just peace, just rest, just safety. You know now what it costs, what it takes, what it turns you into over time. And that knowledge sits differently than ignorance did. The next time you choose comfort, you'll feel it. Not as relief, as resignation. You'll recognize the moment when you're trading capacity for ease, potential for predictability, and you'll do it anyway. Because the biology is stronger than the awareness, but the awareness changes the experience of the choice. You're not a victim of comfort. You're not trapped by circumstances. You're actively choosing this every single day with full knowledge of what it costs. And maybe that's enough for now. Maybe it has to be, because change doesn't come from understanding. It comes from the accumulation of discomfort with staying the same, from the moment when maintaining comfort becomes more painful than risking discomfort. Most people never reach that moment. They stay comfortable until they die, until they run out of time to become anything other than what comfort allowed them to be. And they call it a good life, a safe life, a life well lived, when really it was just a life well avoided. You're not most people. You're here. You've seen this, and you can't unsee it now. Every comfortable choice from this point forward will carry the weight of knowing that you're choosing the cage, that you're selecting smallness, that you're trading who you could become for who you've been. And perhaps that knowing, accumulating over days and months and years, will eventually become unbearable. Perhaps the comfort will finally feel like what it actually is, not safety, slow death. The question was never whether comfort is dangerous. The question is, how long will you stay in the place that's killing you softly before the fear of wasting your life becomes greater than the fear of living it?